Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea, a channel about marriage to a woman from the Philippines. And I know from going through this process myself and getting married back in 2015, you have to make a difficult decision at some point whether to propose, ask a Filipino to marry you, somebody you probably don't know well. Why? Because you've been only mostly conversing online from thousands of miles away. Maybe you were able to go over and see her one time, because vacation time is limited. If you're still working, you might have limited funds to be able to go over there and back a few times. And so you have to really get to know the person as well as you can for not being able to spend significant time together. And when I say significant time together, I'm talking about together in person, where you get to see them interact in all kinds of situations. They can see you in all kinds of situations. You can meet their friends and family, and you're going to learn a lot more, I think, from maybe one visit over there for a few weeks than a whole year or two just talking online, mostly about stuff that isn't all that harmful or threatening. But when you're in a relationship, there are some things you have to be honest about, which is what this video is about. Being honest about things, even if it could hurt you or hurt her or hurt the relationship. This comes from Forbes.com, Mark Travers. This is being honest if you're questioning the relationship. And from this article, doubts about a relationship can be unsettling, and it's common to feel afraid of voicing them. Maybe you're worried that your partner is losing interest, or perhaps you've started to wonder if you have long-term compatibility. Whatever the reason, it's easy to push these thoughts aside, telling yourself they're just a phase, or worse, keeping them to yourself until you feel it's too late to fix things. And please subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea. Leave a comment about this, especially if you've been in the situation where maybe you asked a question and it didn't go well. She didn't like the question because it was too honest and too open and important and serious, and it just costed the relationship. But that's a good thing. If she just can't give you the right answer, good thing that it's not going to work out. So back to this article, this tendency to avoid difficult conversations is not uncommon. Study published in Human Communication Research found that couples who didn't communicate their relationship doubts were significantly more likely to break up. The researchers even found that they could predict uncertainty-driven breakups with 90% accuracy over a 3-month period. On the other hand, partners who openly discussed their concerns with each other and even sought advice from friends and family tended to resolve their uncertainties and stay together. The takeover is clear that you don't have to keep your relationship doubts hidden. By communicating your concerns, you open the door to addressing them as a team. If you're worried that your partner is losing interest, that your relationship is on shaky ground, it's better to share those feelings than to let them eat away at you and out at or make a bad decision. While it may be scary to admit these doubts out loud, there's a strong chance that your partner is feeling something similar, or that they can offer reassurance you haven't considered. Even if the relationship or the conversation is difficult, it gives you both the chance to explore whether these doubts are fleeting or indicative of deeper issues that need to be worked on. Now, this is so crucial for people in relationships with Filipinas. A lot of times, like me, you're kind of at the end of your rope and you've been either single a long time or you've been married a time or two and it didn't work out. You don't want to give up. And so you have somebody here from the Philippines or wherever that you think you can get married to, and you don't want to blow it. So there might be a serious question, and you don't want to bring it up. Maybe you don't want to talk about children because you suspect she'll want children and you don't. Well, bring it up. If she says, sorry, you're not for me, good for you, good for her, you got to move on. If you say, well, we got to live here in my country, let's say United States of America, very long way away from the Philippines, especially from the middle of the country. And if she says, wait a minute, I got to go home every year, well, then we're not going to get married. Whatever it could be. You might say, well, hun, you're going to come to my country. You need to work. You're just going to have to work because things are very expensive here. She might say, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, then you move on. Got to find out. Does she want to work or not? If you're saying she has to make ends meet, then better ask her. Now, she may want to work. You may not want her to work. So you're going to have to talk about that very, very seriously. And if you don't get the answer you hear, it's time to move on. I suppose you could ask these difficult questions that could cause some uncomfortableness early on. But early on, you tend to just talk about things, niceties, sometimes frivolous, just chewing the fat, getting to know each other, keeping the relationship going. But at some point, you're going to have to get serious, put your foot on the gas, and ask more serious questions. And if you're questioning the relationship to begin with, like, gosh, does she really love me? Why is she always late when I call her? And that makes me feel like she's just not interested. Or I don't really like how she keeps asking for money for herself, for her family. You just don't like that. Or she's asking for money, but she can't prove that she actually spent it for what you sent it to her for. And you say, hey, I need a receipt. Can you show me a receipt? I just want to make sure that you that you spent it. And if she didn't, you got to ask her why. Why didn't you do that? Then maybe you'll find out she just kind of took advantage of you, got the money for something else. That happens a lot. She'll say, I need money for myself, but it'll go to a family member. Maybe you're okay with that, maybe you're not, but you're probably not okay with the lying part of it, the deception. So, just if there's any doubt, speak up now, because once you're married, it's too late. You got to live with your choice. So I really like this series, talking about be honest. If, when you're questioning your relationship, if you're feeling in need of reinsurance, which can be kind of the same thing. And also the first one, this video that I did from Forbes.com was about if you're upset with them, if you're upset with the Filipina. If you're going to be married for the rest of your life with them, you're going to have to deal with being upset with each other. And you're going to have to learn to talk about it without being overly sensitive. So for the sake of this video, the topic was about if you're questioning the relationship, be honest, even if it might not go well. Honesty is always the best policy. Do not be afraid to ask important, maybe difficult questions of your love beyond the sea.